question 4 on multiplication. Before you continue watching, make sure to subscribe and give the videos a thumbs up. And today we're going to be covering the basics of multiplication, two-digit multiplication, multiplying with zeros, and we're going to do some word problems. So we're going to start off today with the basics of multiplication. And before we do anything with multiplication, we're going to learn the parts of a multiplication equation. And my example right now is going to be 6 times 5 equals 30. In this 6 and 5 are called factors. And then there's a multiplication sign right there. And it can be substituted with parentheses, an asterisk, or that dot. It really depends on the person. I use all three of them, except the asterisk. And that's our equal sign, which shows us that's an equation, not a sentence. And 30 is the product or the answer to a multiplication problem. And multiplication is just another word for repeated addition. In this case, we're doing 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. We're adding 6 to itself 5 times. That's repeated addition. So we're going to do some practice problems. By now, you guys have to memorize all the multiplication tables from 1 through 12. You need to be able to say any of them within the snap of your finger. I can't really snap, but let's pretend I snapped. You have to be able to say them within a moment's notice. Like, someone cannot walk up to you and say, what's 4 times 3? And you should be able to say 12. So, like I said, memorize all the ones from 1 through 12. So, let's do some practice. We'll start off with 1 times 12. So, we see that we're doing 1 times 12. And the important thing about 1 is it's like a mirror. What you put in comes out. So, you're multiplying by 12. And that's what you're putting in, so that's what it's going to come out, a 12. Now let's move on to 2 times 11. We found a little trick for 11. And with 11, what you do is you take this digit and you write it by itself. So, like 6 times 11 would be 66, 5 times 11 would be 55, 2 times 11 would be 22. See, there's 2 2's. That's the trick for 11. It works for all single digits. And now let's move on to 3 times 10. So something we learned about 10 is that basically you write the digit you're multiplying by and then add the zeros accordingly. So we would get 3, and then there's a 0 here, so you get 30. 4 times 10 would be 40, 5 times 10 would be 50, and so on. 4 times 9, we really didn't find a trick for anything for 4 and 9, but technically it's just doubling 9 and then doubling it again. So that's how you do 4 times 9. 9 doubled is 18, doubled again is 36. For any of these, you guys can use repeated addition, but it's not as efficient as memorizing them. You should memorize them, but repeated addition is another way to go about it. So let's try using repeated addition for the 5 times 8. We're going to add 5 to itself 8 times. I'm not going to write it, but so we're doing 5 plus 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 5. 5 plus 5 is 10, plus another 5 is 15, plus another is 20, plus another is 25. We're at 25 now, we have 3 more 5s to add. 25 plus 5 is 30, plus another 5 is 35, and adding our last 5, we get 40. So 5 times 8 is 40. And our last one, 6 times 7. Since we should memorize that, the answer is going to be 42. We have no real trick for 7 and 6. Basically, you're doubling it and then tripling it, or tripling it and then doubling it. It really doesn't matter. So we get our answer, 42. So now let's move on to two-digit multiplication. And in this, we're going to do one problem 3 different ways. Let's start with the problem 23 times 23. And we're going to start off with the model method. I don't know why they named it that, but we'll just go with it. Okay, so what you do in the method called model method, you split up both numbers into the easiest possible things. And then you multiply those individual numbers by each other. So in this case, 23 can be split up into 10 plus 10 plus 3. Because 10 plus 10 is 20, 20 plus 3 is 23. So we put it into a table like this. We have our 10s, and then the 3s. So we start off with this box. We start off with the empty boxes. In this box, we have 10 and 10. So we're going to multiply both of them to get 100. This may be a bit confusing at first, but once you see how we do this entire thing, it'll all make sense. So then we're going to multiply these two, this 10 and this 10, and they meet up right here. 10 times 10 is 100. Now moving on to this, it's these two, so 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 10, 100. Now we're going to have the 3's. So this 10 and this 3 meet to make 30. This 10 and this 3 make 30. 3 and 10 meet to make 30. This 3 meets with this 10 to make 30. And this 3 and this 3 meet to make 9. So we have all this. Now you may be wondering, where do I get my answer from? What we do now is we add up all the numbers in blue. And that's how we get our answer. So let's try doing that. So we have 4 100s. And we're going to add that first because it's easy. We always do the easiest one first. So we get 400. And then we have 30, 30, 30, 30. 30 plus 30 is 60, plus another 30 is 90. 90 plus the last 30 is 120. And we've added up all of these except this 9, so we're going to add this 9. 0 plus 9 is 9. 0 plus 2 is 2. 4 plus 1 is 5, giving us the answer 529. Now that we did the model method, we're going to move on to the area method. This is a lot like the last one, except this time we're going to make it a bit more challenging, where instead of splitting it up into 10 plus 10 plus 3, we're going to split it up into 20 and 3. 20 plus 3 is 23. So we have 123 on this side, 123 on that side. So we're going to do the same thing by multiplying. This 20 and this 20 meet up here to make 400. This 20 and this 3 make up here to make 60. This 3 and this 20 make it to make 60. And 3 and 3 is 9. 400 plus 60 is 460. 460 plus another 60 is 520. 520 plus 9 gives us our answer, 529. So the last method is the column method. I don't really think that's the name of it. I couldn't find the name of it, so I'm just going to call it the column method because you're using columns. So this one is by far the easiest, but it's confusing at first. But once you understand it, it's going to be the easiest way to do all of them. But you're the judge of that. So let's do 23 times 23. What we do is we start off on the bottom. We always write the bigger number on top, but since they're both the same number, we're going to write them like so. So we start off with this corner right here, 3. We're going to do 3 and multiply it by 3 to get 9. So we're going to write 9 right here. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that 3, multiply it again by this 2 to get 6. So first we did, started with this 3, did 3 times 3 to get 9, 3 times 2 to get 6. Okay? And then this part is important. We're going to move to the 2. So we have to leave a space here. Or we can write it as a 0. But it is really important to write that 0 or leave that space. You cannot forget it. So 2 times 3, we're going to do that again, 6. 2 times 2 is 4. And now we add normally. We get 9 plus 0 is 9. 6 plus 6 is technically 12, but we're going to carry the 1 to get 529. And you may be wondering, why does this work? Well, here's the reason why. This is like the other ones, but instead we're putting it in a more numerical form rather than a visual form. So technically, we're starting off by just doing 23 times 3. And then, you see how we added that 0? The reason why we added that 0 is because the second part, we're doing 20 times 23, which gives us 460. But we just added that 0 in the beginning. So that is why that works. And it's basically like the area one, but instead of drawing those rectangles, you're just doing it like this. So you guys are the judge of which one you think is the easiest. Use whatever for now, but later on, you're going to want to use this method. So now we're going to move on to multiplying with zeros. Let's say you're doing this problem, and it is 4 million times 3,000, and you're like, how am I going to do this? There's too many zeros. These numbers are too big. Well, don't be scared, because there's an easy way to do that. What you're going to do is, first, you're going to take these zeros, all of them, and they have to be the ones that are at the end. Remember, the ones at the end. You can't do something like 4 million, if there's like a 0 here and then a 5, you can't take that 0. You can only take the zeros at the end. And then we're going to take all the zeros at the end. And you're just going to like straight out ignore them for now. Just be like, I ain't looking at you. You don't exist to me. And you're going to be like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to be left with the 4 and then the 3. Multiply those, you get 12. And then this is when you go back to those zeros and you're like, you are important. Take me back. And stuff like that. So what you're going to now do is you're going to count. You may be wondering, what am I going to count? Well, this is what you're going to count. You're going to count the zeros. So let's count the zeros. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you're going to add 9 zeros to the end of 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's your answer. I believe that is 12 billion. So yeah. So as you guys know, practice is important. So that's why we're going to do some practice. So let's do the bottom one together because that one's easier. And this one you guys are going to do on your own as practice. So doing this, we're going to ignore those zeros. They don't exist to us. 4 times 7 is 28. They're going to write 28. And now we're going to be like, the zeros, you're important. Really important. We're sorry. And then we're going to go back to them. And counting them, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to have 4 zeros. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Which makes our answer 280,000. Okay, so you might be wondering, when am I ever going to use this? So let's do some word problems to apply what we learned. So we're going to start off with this question. A restaurant serves a buffet lunch. There are 32 customers who are each charged $12 for lunch. How much did the restaurant earn? So for any word problem, there are 5 steps that we have to go through to do it. When you get older, you'll be able to do it on instinct. I can't really say that word. But anyways, let's go through those steps real quick. The first step is to understand the problem. Understanding the problem is important. If you don't understand what the problem is asking, you don't know what to do and you can't do any of the steps that follow. And then you're going to find the data. You're going to find what you need to solve the problem. That's basically it. And then you're going to plan how you solve the problem. Then step 4 is solving the actual problem. And then step 5, maybe one of the most important, you're going to check if you're right. Because for example, when you get older, you're going to know that some answers, they may seem right because you solved them and got that, but they aren't right. That's why you have to check them back. So let's do this. Let's understand the problem first. So there's customers. They're each charged $12. We want to find out how much it earned. That's good. You can check that off. Find the data. So the only thing we need to know is that there's 32 customers and they're each charged $12. So that step's good. Plan. So our key word in this is each. And because it's each, we know we're going to multiply. So our plan is to do 32 times 12. And then the next step is solving the actual thing. So doing so, 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. We're going to leave a space here. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3, giving us $384 as our answer. $384. And then the check part. Some problems are a little bit confusing. You might be wondering, how am I going to check them? That's true for most problems. And for this problem, this is how you're going to check it. So we already know 32 times 12. The only thing we mainly would want to check is if we multiplied right. So we're going to do that by rounding. 32 goes to 30, 12 goes to 10, multiplying 3 times 1 is 3, adding the 2 zeros, we get around 300, which makes sense. Don't forget to subscribe and like. If you have any questions, you can email info@agoramathcircle.org or comment below and we'll reply back. Maybe. And if you want to see practice things or anything about us, you can visit our website, which is basically the end of the email but without the info and the end. So bye!